Hi there, this is Bianca Lopez, and this is Be in the Know, brought to you by OWI and Tail. And I am super excited to welcome another Latino that is trying to change the game on identity and inclusion by simplifying payments and a lot of other things. Other than being one of the only official Bermuda startups to change the game, welcome to the show.
Thank you. And I think we're the only official digital asset from Bermuda as of today.
That is incredible.
Right.
What is your story? How did you get into this business? Tell me a little bit about you as a human being, and then we can talk about your company.
So the human aspect of it is that I'm a son of a migrant, right? My mom migrated to the United States, and I was her translator. That every time she got paid, I was watching them pull money from her paycheck. I was watching her not have access to Visa or MasterCards. I was watching our lives be so
debilitated.
Completely.
It's like your
financial access.
your tree of possibilities is so minimized. People don't understand. You're marginalized effectively.
Well, throughout the years, I was so enthralled with people who had a Visa or MasterCard. I thought they were super rich, right?
You're like, you have to be rich to have this thing because you couldn't have it.
Right, because we couldn't have it. Not only that, but take in mind, we're a family of 4. My mom's check was being taken away, so how much bread, how much milk, how much eggs can you buy when someone just took $25 away from your check? It really impacted us. So, I mean, my story is not unique, right? It's the common Latino migrant story.
Yeah.
But I was a strawberry picker at age 4, and what happened was I became a diver for the U.S. Olympic team.
Wow.
It's weird how I got into that, but I wanted to be a gymnast. It wasn't there.
The true American dream.
Right, got into diving.
Okay.
And I was going to a place called Pasadena, California, where there's a lot of million-dollar homes. So I said, wow, but there's so many millionaires. Why is it so hard for my family? So I started looking for coaches, financial coaches. And I found a man that I literally brought him coffee for 4 years, and he made $300 million right in front of me. And I got to learn from him his marketing techniques, his sales techniques, his whole approaches, and it totally changed my life. From then, I was just looking for, how do I do a good business? How do I run a profitable business? But because of my past, how do you do it with being socially conscious?
It doesn't have to be an either or. Yeah.
No, you can be human and still make money.
Agreed.
And that's where all this came from.
Tell me about your company.
So
what do you guys do?
Okay, so Uulala.
Uulala, in simple terms, 2 people. That name is just like awesome. So what is the name inspired by? Okay. Other than Uulala, you're doing this.
So I don't know about you, but when I was growing up and I got my first bank card, I used to, I was broke. I used to pray that there was $20 more than what I knew was in there, right? So I used to put in the pin and say, please God, put $20 more so I can buy more stuff. And it never happened.
How did it work out?
No, it never
I was just like, how good was your God?
Yeah, God never answered. So I'm not saying he doesn't answer, just that part he didn't. But what ended up happening is that Uulala is discovery, right? You see someone, you see something, you get something, and one of the first reactions to Uulala. But it really is an acronym. Universal Utility Loading and Lending Application.
Okay.
That's Uulala.
That is what the acronym stands for.
That's what the acronym stands for. So Uulala is a financial technology application that is inclusive for the non-banked individual, meaning traditionally this non-banked individual has to have a bank account to start a PayPal, but they don't have a bank account, so how can they get PayPal or Venmo? It's expensive to have a bank account. It's $29 a month. We found a way to digitize cash.
And how are you digitizing cash? Are you digitizing fiat on the central bank account? Like, what are you doing to digitize cash?
Okay, so what we did is we took a very simple approach. We said, let's build a blockchain where we can have bankable people help non-bankable people load cash for a fee. So if Uber...
Okay, so you're building a crowdfunding model of allowing somebody to lend my money for a cause? Like, how does it work?
It's a crowd loading
concept.
It's like a gig economy. Basically, if you look at Uber, they turned everybody into taxi cabs, right?
Yeah.
We're turning everyone into walking, talking ATMs.
Okay.
That's it. You charge your fee as an ATM. You can go from $0 to $10.
And I can set my fee as an user.
You can set your
if I'm
fee
banked, I go into Uulala, I register, I connect it to my bank account, and now I've become a walking ATM.
A walking ATM.
And if you happen to be near me and you're unbanked, you can Uulala me.
Basically, I would say, hey, I want to load $100 cash. What's the nearest location? It'll show me you. It'll show me physical locations. It'll show me everyone's fees. I pick the one I want to go to, and it'll walk me to you. It'll tell you, hey, someone wants to load $100 and they accept your fee. Do you accept this transaction? You meet up, you scan my QR code, I give you cash. Your digital money now comes to me, and you have my physical money where you can do whatever you wish with it. So that's the first approach, right? That's phase one.
Okay.
Phase two
that's
is
the cash out aspect.
that's the cash out, cash in. Now, phase two is obviously to work with our own networks, get a lot of facilities, whether they're traditional multi-service facilities or retail facilities, to help out with the loading aspect of it and the unloading. That's what we're building now. We have about 50,000 locations that is contracted to us to do that. But the ultimate goal is to, once you have money in the system, you can actually create a virtual MasterCard. Now, this is important because this brings dignity, right?
Okay.
So now
this
you
is
have
back
a
to
MasterCard.
you being 4 years old and getting that MasterCard.
We want that MasterCard. So we wanted to create immediately, and then you can order your own physical MasterCard, because my biggest complaint.
And what happens if I don't have an address?
Well, you need one in order to get a physical one.
Okay.
So there's barriers that you have to overcome, right?
Okay.
But we're saying, what's the lowest bar that we can walk you into? So virtual MasterCard first, or Visa, and then a physical card. Once we do that, then we digitize everything we're doing. We watch what you do. We watch that you pay your electrical bill through our app. We watch that you pay your water bill. We watch that you send money to someone, and we know that you're a good person. Your intentionality of what you're doing with that money equals to your micro loans that we will offer you in the future. So we're creating a credit
so you're
line.
starting from that to from cash in, cash out, ATM, a change to loan sharks and MoneyGram alternatives, to an eventual remittance.
Correct.
Credit,
but to do
business.
And it's funny you said that. Remittance for us is antiquated.
Remittance of the lower threshold is actually one of the ones that pays the most amount of money.
Correct. So my
and it's
mom,
kind of disgusting from an ethical perspective.
Here's a person that makes $1,000 a month but gets charged $15 to send money to their loved ones in Mexico. That's not fair. So what we're saying is, let's bring that cost down to under 1%. We figured out rails where we can send money to Mexico, to the Philippines, for under $2 up to $1,000. And we're saying, why did you do it? You did it to help out your family. That's a good intention. So we know that you're a good person.
So you judge the intention on the app?
We judge the intention.
So you have to say, what is the reason, who's the beneficiary, and there's what? An algorithm that's scoring and looking at this?
We're developing our own algorithm that actually looks at your activity and your intentionality, and then we give you our own private credit score that's logged on the blockchain. So that way our partners who are looking at...
So I can port my credit score across sovereignties?
Across the world. This is our own proprietary technology that we're looking at mitigating risk in lending by saying, here's what this person's all about. Because we know if you move from one country to another, you start at zero again. We're saying you don't have to. Although maybe your job is not secure enough, maybe you're not ready yet, we know that eventually you're a good person, you will find work, you're a good investment. And that was our whole approach. How can we judge the individual? Not your surname, like in FICO, if you have a Garcia, last name.
Oh, good luck, I'm Lopez, I'm done.
You're 30 points less.
Yeah, exactly.
Than
we're
a Smith, right? Or a Jewish last name or what have you. Your neighborhood brings you down in FICO. We're saying those
static, linear, ridiculous business credit score models are done.
They do not fit an individual, right? We're judging the individual for what they are, and that's all we care about. At that point, we'll create a database, a Latin database that doesn't exist. There is no data like this out there.
Okay.
And this economy here, if you will, just in the United States, the Latin culture is $2.3 trillion GDP. And we're saying half of that is cash. If we can turn a percentage of those into credit-worthy individuals, we can bring trillions into the marketplace.
And transparency into an economy.
Yes.
Question for you. This is your first time, second time, third time at OWI?
First time, actually.
And what brought you here?
Well, our partnership...
Other than obviously my panel, shift, and
not
all
only
amazing.
Was your panel was
this
phenomenal.
interview.
This interview was phenomenal. Without identification, we can't start our side of things. So we have to partner up with identification companies that says, I can look at an ID and I can tell you, I can run you through, KYC, AML, and make sure that you're not a terrorist, you're not a money launderer. We need to do the first
You're
step.
looking at bringing a lot of solutions into your platform so they can be attributes. So you're here hunting,
I'm
figuring it out. Who is the latest and greatest?
Learning and saying, okay, what's the next steps? in a couple of years, how can we make sure that we can trust that identity? So that's very important, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to say your habits in the next 30, 60 days financially is going to rewrite your book all the time, but we need to start from a good foundation, identity.
Data.
That's what it matters.
Amazing. Thank you. And be in the know, and we'll come with you next time.